Hi, welcome to Miss Annette's Little Farm in the Big City. Everything is very wet and muddy, but it's okay because it's all very green and pretty too. Hang on, we're getting the animals up. Hang on, there you go. So how are you? How are you today? Yes, my hair is reacting to the humidity. But it's good to see you all. So today is a beautiful day. It rained last night. It rained the night before. Everything is fresh and clean, but the paddock's a little muddy, so I'm going to rake that real quick before I let the animals out. And then I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today. It's Sunday, so we have our little chats on Sunday. And I get this question a lot, so we're going to address this question. How did I learn about these animals? How do I know how to take care of all these animals? So we're going to discuss that today. But first, we got to get some stuff done. Morning, chickens. Good morning. So pretty. are, another Sunday chat. I know it's a little early, but I am so excited. There's a lot of things about fall that I really enjoy, and Halloween is one of them. It's one of my favorite holidays. But today, we're not going to talk about holidays. We're going to talk about one of the questions that I get a lot. How did I learn how to take care of all these animals? Well, I guess we should start with the first animal that we had on the little farm. And the first animal we had were the bees. The bees were the first animal that I got on the little farm. When we bought this house, I decided I wanted to work in the yard, of course, naturally. For me, that came naturally. So I decided to take some Master Gardener classes. And that was really nice because I was totally unfamiliar with Indianapolis, but I saw that they were giving Master Gardener classes. And I don't know if I saw that or Mr. Steve suggested it, but I decided to take those classes, which was really nice of Mr. Steve because he used to drive me to class and sit in the car and wait for class to be over and take me home because I was so used to small towns and not used to the city to drive myself around. So he would drive me to class back and forth anyway. That was really sweet of him. Then I took the Master Gardener class. And at the end of the class, they handed out all these pamphlets and things. And this had a beekeeping class. I thought, well, if you're going to have flowers, you're going to want to have bees. So I took the beekeeping class, and I really enjoyed the class. It was a one-day class. It was all day, and you learned how to build the beehive, and it covered a lot of the just basic, this is what's going to happen, and how to take care of your bees, how to unload them into the hive and all of that. But, and I was pretty confident about it. I was pretty confident. But we got the bees, and I also read a lot. I read a lot about keeping bees because when you are a beekeeper, and bees have so many different little things going on that it's really hard to figure it out unless you do a lot of research. And I have done, even to this day, I do a lot of research on the bees and their behavior, what's threatening them in the hive and things like that. And that's pretty much how I learned how to take care of animals. But I would say if you wanted to start beekeeping, finding a mentor, somebody to ask questions would be very helpful. And I kind of wish I would have had that. And I had tried. I'd met this one lady I bought bees from, and she was really super nice, but she did not like answering any of my bee questions. She did not. And I really liked her. She was a homesteader from way back. She started homesteading a long time ago. But she was not comfortable answering bee questions because I think she was afraid of giving me the wrong answer, or that I don't know. Because with beekeeping, it's a lot different than other animals. Not really too different. But if you ask a beekeeper a question, you ask 10 beekeepers a question, you're going to get 10 different answers. I also joined a beekeeping Facebook page. And some of those can be really hard because a lot of older beekeepers, experienced beekeepers, really are merciless when you have a question if you're a newbie. And so, yeah, experience was the best teacher for me with the bees. I've always wanted to live some sort of a kind of a homesteader life, be sustainable. And that's why the chickens appealed to me so much, because I would be getting my own eggs. Now we talked, and then again, I went to the internet, went to the library. I read, devoured the books about chickens before I even got chickens, trying to pick out what breed I wanted, what kind of chickens I wanted, what kind of chickens would live in this climate that I'm in central Indiana. So I wanted to make sure that I had chickens that would survive the winter and the summers, because the summers can get really warm and the winters can get really cold just overnight. I'm sure it's like that everywhere, but it always feels like Indiana is kind of special for that. But so I did a lot of research at the library and on the internet, and then I ordered my chickens. Chickens are the gateway animal to other animals because they're so easy to care for. They really are. I have had very few problems with diseases or illnesses with any of my animals except for the bees, because they're hard, but hardly any problems with the chickens at all. We did have some hawk attacks, and we did lose some to that. We've lost some to old age, but we've pretty much been able to maintain their health very well and not have a lot of problems with the chickens. We did not get a rooster. We have all hens, and I think that helps too. That helps keep things calm. Even though I know roosters are very helpful on the farm, I just don't see them on our little tiny farm working out. So that's what I did with the chickens, and I could say that they were probably the easiest animal to learn about and to care for. And then I got the goats. But before I got the goats, I did the same thing. I started researching, and that's what I do. I research, I daydream, I think about how this is going to work. I draw pictures of what the animals, I draw pictures of what I think the animals' houses will look like, the barns will look like. I think about what would it be like to have that in my daily routine. I mean, I already had the chickens and that kind of routine of going down to the barn regardless of the weather. Thought about that and what it would be like and what kind of waste I would have and how much it would cost, things like that. So I had to take all of that into consideration before I got goats. So I researched everything. So then I decided to just do it. So I got the goats. I had a friend at work, and I said, I found some goats that I really want on Craigslist, and I would really like. And she said, go for it. And I said, okay. So I did. I sent the lady the deposit. We were getting goats. Said to tell Mr. Steve we're getting goats. And we got the little goats. They were so cute. So cute. And I have to say that the lady that sold me the goats gave me a whole packet of all kinds of information. Now, I'd already researched a lot about goats, and she gave me so much information. And she was always a phone call away until I got comfortable with the goats. And that was really wonderful. She was so nice. And she helped me out a lot, especially when they're small and I didn't know that, I wasn't familiar with that animal. And I would say that the goats are pretty easy to take care of. Now, there are a lot of things that could happen to a goat. They can get worms, and they can get all kinds of things can happen. They can get bloat, things like that. And from research and keeping an eye on the goats and watching them, they have not had any health problems. Now, when we first got them, they had worms, which is not uncommon for goats to have worms. But we had taken them to go get their CDC shots and a physical after we had them here. And the vet, we got some worm medication for them and took care of that. And they haven't had them since. We take them once a year. We have them checked for worms. We get their CDC shot. We have the vet take a good look at them. Now not every farmer's going to do this, but we do. And I had talked about hawk attacks with the chickens. Once we got the goats, the hawk attacks stopped because the goats are such big mammals that the hawks were a little reluctant to try to get into the paddocks to get the animals. Now they'll fly low over the animals, but I've not had an attack since we've gotten the goats. Well, then I had goats for quite a few years. Actually, the goats are about 8 years old now. And about 3 years ago, no, it was 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to get ducks. So again, I went through all of that research and looking at ducks and what kind of ducks I wanted and what kind of ducks would lay eggs all winter long, because chickens do not lay during the winter. So I wanted ducks for that reason, because some ducks will lay all year long. And I decided to get some runner ducks, and we loved those ducks. They were so beautiful and charming and sweet. And we used to keep them in the little we used to keep them separated from the other animals. We used to keep them in that little coop down. I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but it's kind of down. I'll show you. I'll put a picture of it. But anyway, that used to be the chicken coop, the original chicken coop, and then we converted it into the duck coop and had the chickens and the goats in the barn, and the ducks were separated. Unfortunately, that kept them unsafe, and something got them, and all three of our ducks were taken from us by, I think it might have been a fox or a raccoon. The taking care of the ducks was a challenge, and it still is a challenge because of the water and because of the mess. And so ducks are a lot harder than the other animals because of that. The mess, we've learned to adjust to it, and we've learned how to clean up after them and try to keep it at a minimum for us, for the flies, for the rats, for everything. We've been working on it, and we've kind of got it down to a system where we're taking care of it. But that was the hardest part about the ducks. And after my runner ducks were gone, it felt really weird not to hear the quacking of ducks here on the little farm. It just felt really strange because we'd just grown accustomed to it. So I decided to, I saw on Oinking Acres, which is a place that a pet animal sanctuary, farm animal sanctuary, Oinking Acres, had some ducks up for adoption. And I decided to go rescue those little ducks and give them a home. And Olivia, the lady who runs Oinking Acres, she said, I'm so happy that you adopted the ducks. What I'm trying to say is the way I learned about my animals, I did a lot of research before I got them. I wanted to make sure that I was willing to make that commitment of keeping the animals here once they got here, the commitment of getting down to the barn regardless of the weather, the commitment of making sure that they were safe, and during inclement weather that they had what they needed, if they were warm enough or if they were cool enough, things like that. I made that commitment to them. As far as working in the garden and growing the garden, that kind of just happened. I've always been an outdoors girl. I've always liked growing things. And when the tree where our garden is now, we used to have a tree there. When we had to cut down the tree, I knew what I wanted to do with that space. I wanted to make it a little kitchen garden. And honestly, I've made more mistakes than victories, I guess. And that's fine. You know, I always say it takes a whole lot of stupid to get this smart. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I had a lot of failures. But I don't care because I just keep trying. I just keep trying. And I think that's the key is just keep going. Keep trying. If you're thinking about doing homesteading like this or getting chickens for your backyard garden or ducks for your backyard garden, I would talk to people who've done it. I would research what kind of animal you can get for your climate, research what kind of care that animal would need, and figure out whether you are financially able to care for those animals. Because a lot of people, and I get it, you get to the pet store or to the feed store and there's little baby ducks or little baby chickens, or you see little baby goats hopping around being as cute can be. You just want to take them home. You want them all because they're so cute. And you kind of get this brain fog where you think you can do it. But you've got to do it with a clear head. You've got to do your research. You've got to make that commitment. So that is how I learned how to do it. Just one thing at a time, a lot of research, a lot of patience, and a lot of questions. So I really enjoyed our little chat here today. I'm so glad that you stopped by to visit me here on Miss Annette's little farm in the big city. Try to get outside today if you can. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Love you.